Okay, so sometimes it would be very nice to have a metric ass ton of rubber hex-coated dumbbells, but the problem is it takes up a lot of space. And while this might be a cool option, but maybe you have other things in your garage, or maybe you can't set something like this up in your living room, these are nice for dropping on the floor when you're being an absolute man animal and you just want to quit and start over everything in your life. But sometimes you need something that takes up a little bit less space and also is a little more conducive to a not so chaotic atmosphere. So I'm now back at home recuperating from an absolute egregious workout at the gym. I'm at my house. I do have a home gym, but I have a very special setup right behind me, and those include an adjustable bench and some adjustable dumbbells. If you want to reduce the footprint of your weights exponentially and have something that looks kind of cool, I highly suggest the Nuobell Adjustable Dumbbells, specifically the 5 to 80 pound. Don't shortchange yourself and get the 50s. They're cheaper, but I really think that extra 30 pounds, however precarious they are to mess around with, you will definitely be glad that you got them, because heavier stuff is always better. Everyone, and yes, I do mean everyone, needs a home gym. Whether it's a $10,000 home gym or just a couple sets of resistance bands, everyone needs to be able to get their heart rate up and move a little bit of external load, if you know what I'm saying. The reason why is, especially in today's age, you never know when a tyrannical government is going to shut down the entire earth and tell you you cannot move around on your free will. No one in a poorly fitting suit with a red tie or a blue tie will ever keep me from chasing the pump again. So this is literally the cheapest adjustable bench that you can buy on Amazon. We'll talk about that a little bit more in another video. But being able to do incline press with two 80-pound dumbbells and not feeling super scared about this bench falling into a billion pieces, I crashed through the floor going straight to hell, is a good feeling to have. So this is my super maximal luxurious home gym. I own a gym. I do gym stuff for a living, and I do have a home gym in the garage, but I have these set up here in the living room so I can do some dumbbell stuff very conveniently. I got these 5 to 80 pound adjustable Nuobell SmartFit dumbbells a few weeks ago. I actually took these on vacation with me and the family a couple of months ago. This bench will fold up into a very small footprint, and I'll show you that in a second, and we'll talk more about that in another video later. But these dumbbells are awesome because anything from 5 pounds upwards to 80 pounds, which 80 pounds is a good chunk. If you think 80 pounds is too light, and you probably are sniffing ammonia, doing crack cocaine and meth and roids at the wazoo, which is okay, more power to you. I'm a super fan, but for me personally, I'm not about that life right now. I'm not saying I won't later, but for right now, this is just enough for me. So when you order these SmartFit Nuobells, you do not have to buy the stand. The stand is not cheap. I think it's a couple $100. I almost didn't get it. But when you're unracking those super heavy bells off of the stand instead of the floor, it's a really big game changer. But if you want to take the bells with you somewhere, like I did a few months ago, you can just unscrew this and unscrew this, and this cradle comes out super easy because you have to have this in order to change the weights. If you didn't want to take this, you're going to be stuck with whatever weight that you're carrying, but you can always take these off and put them wherever. I put these in the back of an Expedition with this fold-up bench, and I did a bunch of broy bodybuilder-esque type workouts when we were out of town. So here's a top view of the lightest weight that you can get, and then the heaviest weight you can get. The left being 5 pounds, the right being 80 pounds. I think that the size difference isn't too crazy. Once you start playing with the 80s, obviously they're gonna be a little bit precarious, especially if you're doing things like front squats and you need to clean it into the rack position, or if you're doing dumbbell like RDLs or something like that, single leg deadlifts, there's gonna be all kinds of options for you to use. I guess really I only have one minor complaint, and it's very subjective. It's gonna be based off your individual opinion, but this knurling is comfy. I don't want it to be comfy. I want it to be a little more aggressive, a little more tactile. They're probably trying to cater towards the Globo gym, home gym type of clientele, which makes sense. Those are the people who are probably going to be most interested in something like this. But a guy like myself who plays around with a lot of powerlifting barbells with very tacky knurling, kind of wish it was a little more grippy. Sticker shock is a real thing. If you go to this website and pull them up, some of you might be absolutely astonished at how expensive these are. And I think it's because it doesn't look like they should cost that much. Some of us will buy a couple of 10-pound dumbbells here, maybe a 30-pound set here, and we accumulate these things over time, so we nickel and dime ourselves. If you choose to do that, then you're going to be spending a whole lot more money than you would on these bells. I've heard people complain that they rattle too much. Lord Jesus, I mean, life is pretty good, guys. These little tiny complaints, maybe they're valid, but the absolute minuscule amount of rattle in the bells are just, they're a non-issue for me. I got the matte black Nuobells with the stand. I don't remember exactly how much they were. I think it was just shy of like 1,200 bucks. And that is with the stand. I think the stand is maybe $200, something like that. I highly suggest the stand because it just makes your life easier. Here's a warning, and I'm gonna try to be safe with it, but I just gotta say it. A lot of times the ladies of the house can freak out over space that's getting taken up by stuff. Sometimes, ironically, it's only the husband's stuff. Calm down, ladies, don't freak out on me. I have just been blessed with a wife that just doesn't care about most things. She cares about some things, and I try to accentuate those whenever I can, but for the most part, we're on the same page on pretty much everything. We both work out a lot. We both lift weights a lot. We both want to be very strong. We both want that. So this was a non-issue for me, but for my people who are in relationships that don't share this beautiful symmetry that I have with my wife, this is a very, very small amount of space that this stuff takes up. And you can put it in a living room, you could put it in a garage, you could probably put it outside and cover it. This is mostly plastic, so I don't think rust is going to be an issue. And then when you hear the word plastic, you think cheap or poorly constructed, lacking of structural integrity. But with my experience, the plastic is made to keep very precise weights. The weights themselves are metal. So they're pretty nice in terms of switching them out because they're nice and fluid. I think the power blocks are absolute trash. They look stupid, they feel stupid, and I just don't think they feel the same. They feel cheap. These do not feel cheap. These feel primo. They feel nice. They feel like someone took some time and energy, not in just the design of the physicality of them, but the way that they look. They're beautiful. Some people might say that these bells are not heavy enough to really get truly strong, and where I might agree with that a little bit, it's still pretty dang heavy. If I get 2 of these 80-pound dumbbells, that's 160 pounds. I can do some RDLs. I can do some single leg RDLs. I can do front rack front squats. I can do all kinds of stuff that I think is heavy enough, especially if you're like some sort of a maintenance mode. Maybe you're an older individual who's just trying to hold on to some bone density and muscle mass. Everyone needs that. So you might as well get something that you know you're gonna want to use because these are cool. If something is cool, you're gonna want to use them. And if they're right in front of your face, you're going to want to use them. So I think space matters. Curated spaces matter even more. Where you have designated areas to do things are going to help you do those things more often with less resistance. So this little home gym setup behind the couch that I have right now might not fit all the desired needs of every gym rat in the world, but The fact of the matter is that the human body can only do a few different things. We can push things, we can pull things, we can carry things, we can squat things, we can deadlift things. There's really only a few plane of motions that kind of make us human. So being able to replicate that with various different loads or resistances is how we get strong, stay strong as long as possible. I think adjustable dumbbells are the best bang for the buck. Literally, because the dumbbells that you saw earlier at the gym, if you were to buy an entire fleet of those rubber-coated dumbbells, I don't even have bells that go from all the way up to 80. I think the heaviest ones have are 70s. We're talking over $3,000 worth of dumbbells, and it takes up a heck of a lot of space. With this setup, it takes up a very, very, very small space. You can adjust these dumbbells from 5 pounds to 80 pounds. I'm not gonna weigh them because I've already watched multiple videos on these things before I made this purchase. And the weight for each weight increment has been proven to be pretty dang close, maybe within a few ounces on some of the heavier end, which is fine by me. It doesn't really matter whether it's 79.5 pounds or 80 pounds. A lot of the stuff is very convoluted, but if I have this set up very close to me, very close to the kitchen, very close to the living room, there's less resistance to get work done. I'm not the type of guy that has to scrape for motivation to go work out. It's just something that I do, which makes sense because it's literally what I do for a living. I own a gym and I coach people on how to do those things in the gym. But for me personally, sometimes it's tough to get a solid workout in unless I go there at some random time when nobody's there. So having these dumbbells at home, I have barbells and squat racks and stuff in the garage. You can see a few videos from the past that shows you the home gym setup. But having these dumbbells without having like 20 feet of dumbbells on a wall or something like that, it's very conducive for getting work done at a high frequency, and I think at a relatively high intensity. The facts are this: if you are a human being, no matter how you identify, if you are a human being, you need to be able to get your heart rate up and you need to be able to lift some weights. If you don't, you will become weaker and weaker until you shrivel up into a little frail stick of nothing. And then when you trip on your New Balance tennis shoes and you have taken a spill and you've broken your hip, you'll be close to death. I've seen it too many times. I'm being very serious. Everyone needs to lift weights. Whether that's 5, 10, 15, up to 80, 2 billion pounds, I don't think it matters too much, but we need to be able to manipulate external loads forever. I want to be 80, 90, 100 years old and still be able to sustain myself without some little nurse wiping my butt crack every time I go to the bathroom. So you can go all deep and get some barbells, some plates, some functional trainers, some pulley systems, all kinds of stuff. You can also get a couple of dumbbells. You can also broaden your horizons and get some adjustable dumbbells like these. I have not tested the other dumbbells aside for the power blocks, and I think they're garbage. I like these the best, and I decided that I liked these the best, and I decided that I'm going to use them. You just need to decide what you're going to use and actually use it. It doesn't matter too much, but I think these are a great pick. The quality seems good. I think the pricing, relatively speaking, for a massive set of dumbbells is even cheaper. It just looks bad when you pull it up on the internet and you're like, oh my gosh, it's so expensive. Just take the plunge. You're gonna wanna use them because they're cool and they take up a very minimal amount of space. We'll talk about that bench here in the next video. It's funny because these bells are super expensive, but that bench was cheap as heck. So subscribe if you're interested in seeing the video on the bench, and we'll see you next time.